Welcome to the Workplace of a Future cast. I'm your host Leo, and please get ready because this is not your typical podcast. This is because I'm on an absolute mission to bring you what the Workplace of the Future has in store for us.
What is the definition of leverage in business?
Leverage in business, that's the specific part of it, right? So leverage in business is where you can partner or collaborate with somebody for mutual benefit. Now, I can leverage my staff members, and so I'm leveraging staff right now, which is enabling me to do this, whereby the business still grows whilst I'm doing this, right? So I'm not working in the business, I'm working on the business, but without them giving me their time, I don't have a business that runs without me in it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So my belief is that you don't have a business until your business makes money without you in it, right? So I'm not in the business right now and it's making money. So I've been able to leverage other people's time by paying them money to be here, employment, to actually grow my business for me and spread the message. I think there's the other part to it is where you do things such as this, where we're in a podcast where you're leveraging our brand, our reach, our network to elegantly share your message, your values, your morals, which will then in turn expose you to our audience, which exposes you to us to your audience as well, which is leverage in both directions. So you're not paying me for this time, I'm not paying you to do the interview, but what we're doing is actually exposing our message to different markets, which is also leverage.
Yeah. So basically, almost like, making the most out of resources. Is that what you think?
But maybe rephrase that to just being totally resourceful in everything that we do. Yeah. So maximizing every human interaction, like never missing an opportunity when you meet somebody, right? So you only get one chance at making a winning first impression. I'm meeting you all physically for the first time today. Daniel's got two different names just to try and confuse things a little bit further. But I remember that I make a winning first impression on him. All of a sudden, I'm looking for a videographer. My videographer's not available. He remembers me. Brilliant. I've now got leverage out of that interaction because I can now use his services because he liked me in the first place. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So, being resourceful in every single moment of life, I think is really going to maximize your opportunities in life.
That's the definition for you. So
it's a long definition.
Yeah, no, but that's good. So one thing I find when I'm doing this podcast with my guests is like, and we get into a topic and it's so easy to assume that people know what we're talking about, like, even including sales. I've been fortunate enough to be following you for a little while, so I've learned a few things. I guess I would say I'm in the sales world. But for those who are not and are watching this and have no clue and they're contemplating getting into business or say any way or form of sales, if you had like a short moment with them, what would be the first thing you would teach them? Or you say like you have only 5 minutes with them in the elevator of the Q1, so it's 5 minutes.
That's a big one. yeah.
What would be the first thing that comes to mind that is important for that person to start?
With regards to sales?
Yeah.
I think firstly it's an acceptance that we're all in sales. So allow themselves to be submissive to the fact that regardless of your job title, regardless of what even if you're unemployed, you're in sales, right? Because every single, as I just kind of alluded to there, every human interaction is a sales interaction. You're getting people to buy your ideas, buy your thoughts, buy your beliefs, raise capital, give you money. You want them to give you time to do a podcast. Like that's a sale, right? You're selling me on why this would be beneficial to me. You meet somebody in a bar or a restaurant. You want to take somebody out for dinner. You're selling them on why that should be beneficial. So the first lesson would always be to recognize that we're all in sales, and that is okay. Like learning to sell, in our opinion, obviously it's in our name, selling with integrity and selling honestly, is one of the most noble skills you can ever learn. The second thing I would suggest is that the starting point to learning to sell is to be interested, not interesting. So make it about them, not about you. Nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. So the only way people know that you truly care about them is when you show a genuine interest in them. So I would tell people to be more interested than interesting.
Okay.
Makes sense.
And then it's funny because like you said, and I so agree with that. Like everything is just you're selling ideas and whatnot, and that's why actually I put business or sales, because for me business and sales it's just so broad, and that's a really good one. I think
business is sales.
Yeah.
Without sales, business fails. Like if you look at the top line of any P&L, like the first thing you want to see is revenue, which is sales. Like if your business isn't driving revenue, you're going under.
Yeah.
Like if you're not making sales, you're going under. So you don't have a business without sales, and without sales you don't have a business. So they kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah. That's a really powerful one, I think, to share to anyone that's starting out. So, and I've been talking this morning because, to be honest, been talking to a few people about this podcast. This is probably the one that I've been looking forward to the most. So I was like, no pressure at all. So, and I said, what should I ask Ryan? Knowing that your area of expertise and some of the content you've been sharing, I think one of the biggest pain of business people or young entrepreneurs, which is the type of people I hang out with the most, I could be wrong, but is objection.
Mm-hmm.
Could you give me, and actually I would really look forward to some tips on how to deal with the objections, because I'll tell you what, I know about it, I try and deal with it, but no matter what, at the end of the day, an objection is an objection, and it hurts me. I can deal with that, but it still hurts. So some tips on objections, please.
The $1 million question, right? I think firstly, objection handling is probably the thing that we teach the least. So the message there is that if you're consistently getting objections, you need to change your approach, right? Especially if you keep getting the same objection. So if you're getting, I can't afford it, you're too expensive, let me think about it, send me some more information via email, then you need to change what you did leading up to that point. So I can teach you how to overcome an objection. That's easy, but I'm just putting a plaster over the problem, right? So we have got a whole process called the negotiation ladder, as you guys well know, which is a 10-step process, and there's seven steps we go through before we actually get to transaction completion, whereby we actually ask for the business. So all of those steps need to be adhered to reduce the amount of objections that you get. So two parts to it. If you keep getting objections, firstly you need to change what you're doing on the front end. Second part, you're always going to get objections. It's part of day-to-day life. If you're 6 months, 12 months, a year, 2 years into business, and you still get annoyed by rejection, that's now your fault.
Okay.
Right? You cannot get annoyed by something when you are never categorically going to close 100% of people. And anybody that teaches you that you will is lying. It is impossible. So we've got what we call our 4 buying archetypes, where we talk about 40% of people are just never going to use your services. I don't care how good you are. It doesn't matter how good your pricing is, how competitive you are. I'm just not going to use you. That's just the way that I'm wired. 30% of people are what we call tire kickers, whereby they will just ask you all the questions in the world. They want all the information.
Take up all the time.
They take up all of your time, and they still don't use your services. Then there's 20% of people that are what we call motivated to buy, where they've got an interest. They're sitting on the fence, but they need all of their ducks in a row before they actually decide to move forward. And then 10% of people are just buyers. They've seen your services, they've already compared you to the rest of the market, and they're going to move forward. So recognizing there, we've only got 30% of the market that are actually ever going to use your services. 40% are going to tell you to go away, and 30% are going to waste your time. So 70% of the time, you're not going to do business with people. And people get so frustrated when they don't understand the numbers. So I wish I'd have got told that when I first got into sales.
That way, that like that 30, that percentage. Yeah, okay.
Because then I can manage my own expectations. Because I was going into every interaction expecting people to say yes. Now, if somebody has said to me, you should expect people to say no, because most people do, because we are conditioned as human beings to repel a sales approach, then I wouldn't have got to the depths of depression and anxiety and frustration that I did. That doesn't mean we can't improve your conversion rates. What that means is you manage your expectations on the front end. So with regards to objections, another side to understand is that as a consumer, so if you approach me now about offering your cleaning services, I am conditioned as a consumer to give you an objection. It isn't real. So the first objection you hear, 99.9% of the time, is not real. It is the reason that it sounds good. It's a natural defensive mechanism that we have as a consumer. So you say to me, okay, Ryan, so here's a quote. We would love to do your commercial cleaning for you moving forward. I go, okay, fantastic. Just pop it in an email. Let me think about it. Right? That's not real. That's just what I have to do for my side of the game in sales. And it is. The game is between two parties. It's you're the salesperson, I'm the consumer. You present something to me, I have to tell you I want to think about it. Whether I want to think about it or not, I have to do that because that's the way we've been conditioned. Don't take the first offer. Don't buy the first house that you see. Make sure you get 3 quotes. These are things that we get trained subconsciously on by our parents and people around us. So the best thing we can do as sales professionals and business owners is not take that one seriously. And the way we do that is to recognize we need to sift past it. We need to move and isolate that fake objection to get to the real objection. And the way we do that is using a 4-step process that we call ARIO, which is to appreciate the objection. So listen, I appreciate that you want to go away and think about it. We relate to it. I've been doing this for over a decade now. You're not the first person to say that to me. You're certainly not going to be the last. We then look to isolate, which is the I. So where we go, apart from the fact that you want to go away and think about it, is there anything else holding you back from moving forward with this today? They're either going to give you another objection or they're going to say, no, I'm happy with everything else. At that stage, we then can look to build more value, which is the O, which is to overcome. And we know we need to build more value in either the product, the company, or me, myself. So there's what we call our 300% rule. So without this going into a full coaching session, because it would drift off.
Can I say, like, I'm so glad I subscribed to be part of your course this year because I can see like the amount of like value I'm gonna get. So
yeah, it's one process. ARIO, appreciate, relate, isolate, and overcome, regardless of the objection. But the key there is you get an objection and you diffuse it by realizing it's not real. I don't mean it's part of the game. I tell you you're too expensive. That doesn't mean I can't afford it. I say, can you do it any cheaper? Doesn't mean it doesn't mean you have to discount. It just means I haven't seen enough value. What happens a lot is people go, oh, well, that's a little bit too expensive, Leo. Can you do any better? And then the salesperson goes, yeah, I mean, I could talk to it. Too late. You've already lost. What you should, if somebody asks me for a discount, my response is this: great question. Obviously not. Any other questions? Quashed. Absolute certainty. Ryan, it's way more expensive than I thought it was going to be. That's a statement. They're not asking me for anything. I don't need to say anything in that situation. So I could go to town in this, obviously. Yeah. Because I love.
No, I can immediately relate to sometimes, like I said, one of the most effective ways that we do. We get new customers is door knocking, door to door. And I immediately could relate to the times where I was like, okay, I'm going to enter this office with the idea of my goal is to get the client. And I would be just like, I would be so basically nervous and I would not perform. Whereas when I go with the right expectations, which is just to say hi, introduce myself and get a business card, that's it. Yeah.
Change. So that's key what you did there, right? So change the expectation. So your job is not to get the client. Your job is to find out whether they need your help in the first place. Yeah. So we talk a lot about awareness. Like, you can't sell a secret. Your job is just to go, hey, we're Easy Clean, we exist. That's it. That's all your job is, just to get your name and your brand and your values in front of as many people as possible. With the right value, as opposed to going, hey, we would love to be your commercial cleaners. Because the chances are most of the buildings you walk into or office spaces that you walk into, they've probably already got somebody doing it. Yeah. So if anything, what I would be scripting into my intro is that into the approach that hey, listen, I'm sure a company of your stature has already got somebody cleaning your premises. Yeah, write that down. Regardless, my job today is just to say, hey, we exist, this is what we do, so I'd love to leave you some information on it. That's it. Walk out, gone. 48 hours later, give them a phone call to back it up. That would be my process for you.
And when I was more relaxed, it's goes a long way.
Just on that, the only reason you're not relaxed is because you've got an expected outcome. So to emotionally detach yourself away from the outcome. Like, I don't ever get nervous in a sales interaction because I don't go into it, mate, trying to make a sale. I don't come into this boardroom and look to meet with somebody going, shit, this is worth like $100,000. I just come in here like, hey guys, how are you? Let's see if we can help you or not. And that's it. And if we can, we can. If we can't, no big deal. They weren't right for us anyway. So that literally takes all the pressure off everything. I
remember one time actually I went into his office with the expectations to the point where, remember, I just brought up the beans and they nearly called the cops. I was like, get out of here. That was a funny one.
I feel like that needs to be on a different late night podcast.
So let me just go through this because so leverage, that was like a good one, but I think we covered that really well. Do you see, because like I said to you at the beginning, I'm obsessed and I can get, very obsessive with things. Can you see any negatives from leverage in the way of, like, for example, if I have these resources and they say they're working and I'm like, okay, well, I can maybe use these resources for this as well and this as well. That probably, I think that's probably the negative potentially that I use. But do you see any negatives or from leverage?
Yes, I think there's negative connotation around why people are doing what they're doing. I mean, there's a tool of influence called reciprocity, whereby is to reciprocate, is to give something to take something. So I think that could be misconstrued as leverage at times. And I think if you are going into an interaction purposely trying to get something out of it, because it's like, I'm giving you this in the hope that I'm going to get this, then I think there's a negative connotation around that. So we do it a lot from a sales perspective. Like, we are a value-driven sales organization, so we're big on showing people how good we are, not just telling them how good we are. And the way we do that is to give them content. We give them free training, we hold free webinars, we do podcasts, and we try to give as much value as possible, in the hope that they will go away, they will get value from it, and they will use the training that we provide, even if it's free training, which they can just get on YouTube, and they will go away and get results. We will always be the catalyst for those results, right? But there is no expectation that they're going to go, okay, well, they gave us free training, now I'm going to come back and buy. Do you know what I mean? So I think we have to be very cautious around leveraging to get something back. That's a really good answer, I think, because it goes back to the expectation of, like, okay, I have these, now I'm gonna, aim to get this, and that's, as you pointed out, not really a good way to do business. It's all about them. Because and on that, like, even in this podcast, right? So this is a leverage scenario, but the aim and the focus should always be on value to the listener, and trying to make sure that they consume something that is practical for them, not in the hope that they're then going to come back and use one of our services, right? Because not everybody will, and if that's not the case, subconsciously your conversation will be directing towards products or services when it shouldn't be. It should just be, actually, can we try and give some value? That makes sense. But I will say this, and not just because you asked me to or anything, like you pointed out sales, like, you can apply that to, like, sales skills, It's like, I don't see anything, I'm serious, like, I don't see anything that you cannot apply some really good, like, skills towards, like, whatever you do, like, student, you have a job, like a specialist, like doctor, whatever. So I truly recommend, getting into and learning about sales. And going back to what you said, like, I wanted for the listeners to learn about, this podcast is mostly about the workplace of the future. So now I'm going to get into that sort of topic, because from you, I wanted to really, there's a couple questions about that. So there is less face-to-face interaction.
So what's going to happen to interpersonal skills? Is that going to become a challenge, do you think?
Good question. Definitely, yeah. I mean, undoubtedly, there's less face-to-face interaction. Is that a negative? I'm not entirely sure, because some people make a really poor first impression. So for some people, it's been a bit of a blessing that they're maybe better over the phone. Maybe they got more nervous face-to-face firstly. So I think your interpersonal skills will have to improve, because you're now going to be picking up the phone more. You're now going to be jumping on Zoom more. There also are a lot of people that would say to me, I do better face to face. I create a better connection. It's like, well, no shit, of course you do. Like, it's much easier. You know, who would prefer to do face to face over cold calling? Of course I would prefer to do a face to face appointment, right? That's not the world that we live in. And twofold, it's opened up so much opportunity for businesses to do business all around the world. Like for us, we've got an online asset, we've got a digital training program, so it's not scalable and feasible for us to go and sit face-to-face appointments with people all around the world, but we can jump on a Zoom, and it makes it really easy. So what our team have had to learn to do, even though we've been doing it for about 4 years anyway, they've had to learn to sell themselves via Zoom or just over the phone. So can you build up enough rapport, credibility, trust, and value without you ever seeing what I'm wearing, without you ever seeing what I'm driving? So I would then argue that the interpersonal skills are going to improve, and people's tonal delivery is going to improve as well. So you're going to learn to make a connection better than just having that face.
So it's like almost like now, instead of having like 10 seconds or 15 seconds for the first impression, you now have like 2 or 3.
Yeah, you have very little either way. So face to face, you've only got 1.5 seconds to make a first impression anyway. Over the phone, you got 4.5. So you still don't have very long, but you do have a little bit longer. If anything, it should help relationships, because whether we like it or not, we judge each other, right? When we go out to see people, we go to a meeting, we go to an office, like you come in here, you're looking at our office, you're going, does that office match up with the stature of the business? Is the way that Ryan's presented, is that what I was expecting? If this was all over the phone, you can't do any of that. So we lose the stigma of first impressions now, moving forward, which should put everybody on a level playing field. So for the first time ever, every single sales agent, whether you drive a Mercedes or another car, I won't bag any other cars, but I'm not making a first impression by what watch I'm wearing or what shirt I'm wearing or what car I'm driving, just by my personality. So we have to get better. Okay.
That's actually, you mentioned office. I have got a question, because I'm with this podcast, I'm exploring again the workplace of the future and how important culture has become, you know, the people aspect of a business. Why are you guys still in the office? Like, why you choose to be here physically, you know, drive, find a car park, all the hassle? Why are you still doing that in 2021?
I had the thought of sacking it off last year for sure. Like, as soon as COVID hit and we worked from home, we were productive from home. Like, it was still working very well. But what we realized when we came back very quickly, even though we were working well collaboratively with the energy of the office, being able to transfer messages a lot quicker, we were way more effective and efficient working together. So even though this could be looked upon as an expense, because we have, like, we're in a boardroom here right now where I previously used to do the training. I've done, since March last year, I've done 2 training sessions in here. That is it. This office is just sitting here empty. It looked great. But do you know what I mean? It doesn't, it's what could be perceived as a waste of money right now. But firstly, I'm a man of my word, and I did make a commitment to the body corporate that we were going to stay here for 5 years. Okay. So I didn't feel comfortable cancelling that on them. And then secondly, we do actually work better together. So we're, as cheesy as it sounds, we are a family, and we know that if we have an idea, I need to bounce it off somebody really quickly, and it's not always that easy just to go, hey, can you jump on a Zoom? I've got a quick idea. Like, I want to jump up on a whiteboard and just brainstorm. So it serves us well for what we're trying to do.
So you're looking at it as which is great because you as an expense that is just going to waste. So you instead looking at it as an investment towards what? Like you think
this is 100% an investment. It's an investment of energy. We built a podcast studio. We built a film studio. So I do so much digital training every single day. We record new content every single day. So I've got a full-time videographer. So we've got a room, we've got a space that we're proud of, and then when we come into work every single day, I feel excited to be here. Like I look at what we come from, and we used to be on Ashmore Road as well at one stage in Bundall, and we were in this windowless box of a room, half the size of this boardroom.
All right.
There were 6 of us in there, all smashing the phones. So I think having this is another reminder of how far we've come. That doesn't mean we're complacent. Like I've also got a vision of what the next office space looks like and where we're gonna go. But coming in here every day is also do you know what? You guys are going in the right direction. Whereas at home, I've got a nice home office, but I've also got 2 young boys, and a wife and a dog, and a fridge that's very appealing throughout the course of the day.
And would you say, so it's like for any business that you would give advice to, like for us, for example, would you say that it's like something that is essential for building a business culture, positive business culture, or
no, not necessarily.
No.
No, I think that's business by business. Like you can still create and keep great culture working remotely, and we were able to do that. I think if anything, working remotely just for that short period that we had, fortunately here in Queensland, we were meeting more often on Zoom. Our communication levels were up, and I think it brought us closer together. So I wouldn't say there's a black and white. You need to be in an office to have great culture. I just think for us, it works better.
Yeah. So with that, talking about culture, I want to ask you something, and this, I guess, an actual question. I want to walk out of here with a bit of an idea of what to do, because we have a bit of a challenge. We've been growing at EasyClean quite a lot. In fact, this is one of the negative things of 2020 was like growing so much that it was like a bit out of control. Which is a good thing.
Great.
But it's brought some challenges, you know. One of them is, and I wanted to start implementing accountability because it's not anymore about like the cleaners and, you know, but now we have basically a middle management, or you could call it management team, which is something new to us, you know. And maybe next year we'll look at like someone higher above. But for that middle management, I hope I got the right word there, but like, you know, supervisors and managers, how can we implement accountability in the way of like making them fully accountable for their role and purpose in the company? Like, will you please give me some advice on that?
Yeah, it's a strange one, right? Because you go through a transition as a business from being hands-on, working in it, and then delegating responsibility, which firstly is a big task for you guys, and taking your hands off things, and then expecting people to do it to the standard that you expect. So I think the first part of that lesson is something that I had to learn the hard way. As I'm an engineer, I was an engineer for 8 years in the UK, so I'm a perfectionist. Like everything needs to be spot on. I needed to take 20% off my expectations of everybody.
20%.
Yeah. I don't ask me how I got to that figure, but it's just a rough ballpark, right? So don't expect people to do things to the standard that you have done. If you do, you're going to constantly set yourself up for failure and disappointment. Obviously set the bar for them, and the way we have accountability is to set very, very clear parameters of what's expected by them, and that is communicated consistently. And when I say consistently, on a daily basis. So every single morning we have a team meeting every morning. We do good news. So what is a win? What wins did we have yesterday? We do
so day by day. Sorry, that's actually really key. So day by day. So every day you go and like look at the wins from yesterday.
Every morning.
All right.
Every morning we sit down around here, or in the creative space out there as a team, and we'll go, what was one of your wins for yesterday? So good news or a win. We always start with that. Then we do high priority activities. So we've got HPAs and LPAs. So high priority activity and low priority activity. So we have our 6 tasks that we have to complete individually every single day. That's called the Ivy Lee method. You'll see that in the training. And so at the end of today, I will set my 6 tasks for tomorrow. So I can go to bed, sleep well, and then I've got my 6 tasks for tomorrow. Within those tasks, some of them are going to be high priority, some of them are going to be low priority. A high priority task is any task that has a dollar figure attached to it. So if it's a revenue generating task, that's high priority.
Okay.
So we go around the desk, we go around the table again. So what is your high priority task for today? What are your low priority tasks? And then the third part to that is, what can I help you with? Is there anything that I can assist you with today to help you achieve your goals? We do that every morning, and then we finish on critical numbers. So I want them to know, what is our target for the month, for the quarter, for the year? And then every single day we're going to go through, okay, what revenue came in yesterday? How many clients came on board? We share a couple of our clients' wins for the day. And I will go through individual sales figures every day. So Leo, your target for the month is XYZ.
Yeah.
This is what you brought in yesterday. That means that you're tracking at 75% of your target with 22% of the month left. So today you need to hit this. And we talk about that every single day. So it means
once a day?
Every morning, 15 minutes.
But it's obviously, you can't miss it.
Yeah, come in. It's pretty, it's very well structured. So it's 15 minutes. I also have a meeting with my middle management once a week. So I will have 30 to 60 minutes with head of administration, head of marketing, head of operations, head of finance, head of sales. So I'm always having those face-to-face interactions with them. And then I also have daily feedback emails as well from my team. So we have a physical meeting in the morning. Then at the end of every single day, 5 minutes before they leave, every single staff member has to send me an email. And in that email, it says my productivity. So what did I achieve today? My challenges and any questions I've got, and wow factor. So how did they wow somebody today? How did they go above and beyond for this company and make somebody feel special? So every single day there's accountability around it.
Can I say, my mind's already gonna explode because I can see all the value, and to guarantee you something, I'm gonna go and implement a lot of what you said, especially that one about accountability.
Yeah.
So thank you so much. Getting to the end of my questions here, I wanna ask you one that maybe not so much about business or sales, a personal question if I may.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan, what's important for you in 2021 and beyond? What's important?
Instantly family time for me. I'm really fortunate. I've got two young boys. I've got a 2-year-old called Maverick, and I've got an 11-week-old called Fox. Unfortunately, over Christmas, my youngest newborn Fox was pretty sick. We ended up in hospital over Christmas. He had viral meningitis. He's fine now. He's all recovered, but that was a pretty scary 10 days or so where watching your 7-week-old baby boy being jabbed with needles and whatnot. So that was I was already aware of it, that I didn't want to go back to how we were in 2019. So pre-COVID, I used to be on a plane every 2 or 3 days, flying around the country and New Zealand and delivering training. And spending a lot of time away from my wife and then Maverick at the time. So after COVID, what we did as a business, obviously a lot of people have gone to digital training. We were still able to impact businesses exactly the same, if not better, doing digital training, not physical training. So it made me realize that I don't need to be traveling all around the world or the country anymore. And especially now we've had our second boy, it's now my focus for 2021 is to make sure that I don't spend more than 30 nights away from home over the course of this year. So that's my instant response. I don't know if you want a business version as well, but that's
I just want to know what you consider, and that's actually leading to something I think. So when I ask what's important, so you've obviously reassessed what's a priority. So you don't necessarily need to, like you said, you don't need to travel. You were able to find another way to...
I'm just very intentional with my days. So my days are structured, very regimented. So I know when I'm doing business development, when I'm doing creative, when I'm doing sales, when I'm doing training my team, when I'm doing admin, it's all blocked out. When I'm doing, how many podcasts am I going to do a month? How many podcasts am I going to host? Everything's regimented for the whole year. So when you say to me, what's your availability? I can send you straight to Lauren, my marketing manager, and she'll be able to go into my diary and find a slot for you. So I don't need to think about anything. It's already planned ahead. Family is the priority, but it it is realized because of the discipline that I have on a day-to-day basis. So the structure, so systems breed freedom. And alongside family being a priority, we've also 10x the business goals. So it's not like I've gone, all right, I'm going to take my eye off this a little bit right now because I want to spend more time here. It's like, well, no, I'm not spending more time with my family to the detriment of the business.
Yeah.
I'm going to get them both growing at exactly the same time. So business goals have gone through the roof. Family objectives have gone through the roof. Yeah. And I've figured out how to balance them both.
2021 is going to be a good year. I know that. Ryan, thank you so much. And in fact, I want to ask you something. How can I thank you for this? Seriously,
You just did.
Okay.
That's it. The best gift you can ever give is education. And what you guys are doing right now is sharing education, because people, you can take anything from anybody, but you can never take away the education that they've got. So I think you're doing a great thing.
No, thank you, because I literally I've learned. I feel almost guilty. I learned so much right now. So it's like I said to you at the beginning, no, I really want to thank you. And I saw a post from you, and how you were moved by the fact that you were positively impacting one person. And I can tell you, man, you've been impacting myself, Emilio, and a bunch of people I know it's really well. So I want to thank you for that.
Thank you.
Thank you for doing the podcast, and I think we are done. Unless is there anything else you want to share? Anything special you guys doing this year with the? I see that you've changed a little bit the logo, which looks really cool.
Yeah, we rebranded back in October on our 6th birthday. So we went from ISR training to Swish sales coaching. So as I said earlier, Swish is selling with integrity, selling honestly. We just felt like that was more in line with our brand. So ISR training didn't really mean anything. It didn't really have any power behind it. Whereas Swish is our sales methodology, which is definitely hitting home with more people. So what do I want to share? If people want some free training, obviously feel free to follow us across all of the socials. Connect with me personally. LinkedIn is pretty much my go-to. If they follow me on Instagram, they're just going to get baby spam. But they're more than welcome to do so. We hold free web classes once a quarter. Okay. So I don't know when this is getting released, but we do have one on Monday, which is 90 minutes worth of free sales training. And if they'd like to join that, feel free to do so.
And you mentioned obviously you're getting booked out. I think if someone was to join now, they would have to. You mentioned obviously you're getting quite busy. So I guess for people to start looking now, because you mentioned there's something that is already booked out for January and February.
Yeah, so that's physical training. Okay. So if they wanted to book me for physical training or speaking, there's roughly an 8-week wait. For digital training, if anybody wants to join the Swish Academy, that's instantaneous.
Okay. All right, so better get in now. Better get in quick. Thank you once again, and until next one.
Pleasure.
Thank you, man.
Thank you very much.